Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome on News Matters with me, your host Sakina Habib. And I'm so excited to have this beautiful program today, which is all about a healthy lifestyle and nutrition. Nutrition is a very important part of our lifestyle, and it makes us rethink about the healthy choices that we make on a daily basis. Now, nutrition and lifestyle are closely related, but making healthy choices can really have a significant impact on overall health. So the question is that are we implementing a healthy lifestyle on a daily basis? And how far does this have an actual great impact on our lives? In addition to nutrition, health is also affected by environment, genetics, life cycle, and as I mentioned, lifestyle. One facet of lifestyle is, of course, your dietary habits. So also, I think sometimes the mental health comes into play. For example, if you feel tired, what do? The best thing is to turn off your phone and go to sleep. If you feel uninspired, maybe it's best to maybe take a shower and engage with all your senses. And sometimes, maybe if you feel depressed or if you are having self doubt, maybe you can, journal, allow a stream of consciousness to flow, or take a walk in nature, spend some time with your family and friends and all of that. Now, on today's program, of course, I will not be doing much talking because I will be joined by a professional, Sister Amina Taki. She is a public health nutritionist. She's a speaker and a health advocate, and she is currently studying masters in Islamic studies. She's also experienced in diabetes, pre-diabetes, child and adult weight management, and mental health, and her role now is in managing the child weight management service in Brent Public Health Council. And she has lectured and led workshops relating to Islam, health, and well being for more than 8 years, mashallah. She is an active community member and is also a mother to a 2-year-old boy. So I would like to welcome her on board. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Sister Amina?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Sister Sakina. Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be part of this discussion today.
Thank you so much. It is an utmost pleasure. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time. I understand that you also have a little boy, and we all have our own struggles. It's not easy. I too have a 2.5-year-old, and the struggle is real. So I think we can relate to that. So I think it's really great to talk about nutrition because oftentimes we tend to lose that track in our lifestyle. Like, why am I sometimes feeling lazy or that fatigue or tiredness? I'm not feeling active sometimes, and one wonders like, where is all this energy gone? How can I sort of create this energy? How can I gain this energy back? It becomes really difficult to basically um, adjust and implement a healthy lifestyle and choice within your home, especially, if you're a really busy person, maybe if you're working, or maybe, as a student, even if you have your exam pressure going on, like right now, there's a lot of exam fever going on. Students sometimes they don't take care of themselves. They are, just under that pressure of studies. And also as a parent, sometimes we, forget ourselves because we're so much after our children, so we forget our life, our health, basically, somewhere, I feel. So what are some healthy lifestyle habits that one can basically adopt for better nutrition?
Yeah, I think that's a very great starting point to discuss. So, a lot of the times when it comes to health, it's really important, like you said, it was really easy, like you said, to forget ourselves. And really, for health, for us to be able to study for exams, to take care of our little ones, to be an active member of our society, of our community, we need to take care of our health. And if we're not taking care of our health, then it's very hard for us to do all the things that we just mentioned. So first of all, it's that recognition that for us to be able to be the best versions of ourselves, we have to dedicate that little bit of time to take care of ourselves. So that's the first thing, really. Once we recognize that, then everyone is different and there's no one thing that works for everyone. So it's important to self-reflect and see what aspect of your lifestyle, what aspect of your life can you change that you think will have a beneficial impact on your health and nutrition. Um, a lot of the time, people, when it comes to health, they think that they should be doing everything at the same time. So they'll start doing exercise, they'll start eating healthy at the same time, and there's a lot of things going on at once. So ideally, what we want to do is take one thing at a time, start off with small steps that you could do that you can actually keep up with. Because a lot of the times, what happens when it comes to our health is we do things that are not long term. We think of it as very short term. Along the new year, when New Year comes, everyone signs up to the gym in January. Do you know what happens in February? Everyone cancels their gym membership because they realize it's not something that they can keep up with. It's not realistic for them. So, what we want to start off with is very realistic and easy things that you could do every day that will help you to feel better. And we know what are the things that we need to do to help us feel better. As an expert, as someone who studied this and works with this, I know the types of things that people can do to make them feel better, but a lot of the times people do themselves as well. I don't need to come in and tell people, oh, by the way, you have to drink more water. They know that. So it's about recognizing within people's own, lives and lifestyles, what are the things that they can realistically be doing. And it could be very small things, like we said. It could be, making sure that there's a bottle of water near you all the time. Now, it's summer, so it's something that you could be drinking from throughout the day. It could be something as small as adding more vegetables to your meal every day. It could be making sure that you're going out for a 10-minute walk. For example, if you work from an office, you're sitting down all day, just in your break time, just popping out for a quick walk and coming back. It could be setting your alarm to go to sleep a little bit earlier, or wake up a little bit earlier, for example. So there are so many different things that we could do that will help us feel better, and it's the small things that we are consistent with that will have that long term effect.
Absolutely. I think it's, us taking that first initiative, which is usually the hardest. But as you said, we need to think about it in a long term way. Like, usually, it's just temporary because we're thinking about it in a very short term. I think the simplest thing, for example, like I do keep reading sometimes even on our social media, platforms. Like, for example, even when you wake up in the morning, after your namaz or salah, maybe just preparing your bed, like setting it nicely gives you that boost that, my day will be now, it will go good and well, and I can do other extra activities, the important ones throughout the day. I mean, it's just taking those, few little steps that will give you that positivity, basically. I think that, to have that mindset is very important, a positive mindset, because you are like in that negative and pessimistic mindset, one wouldn't feel to make this lifestyle choice in their homes as well. So that's one thing. And I really liked how you added the point about hydrating yourself. I think so many people are guilty about this, including myself. It's really a guilt factor because we usually often tend to forget, or we don't take it seriously. And right now, yes, it's summer and all of that. So I think hydrating yourself is key. It's important. And in fact, what other, if I were to ask you if you could add one more simple, healthy habit today, what would it be coming from your experience or from your personal, journey? What would you say?
So actually, just before that, going back to the hydration, the lead causing of headaches is dehydration or lack of water. So if you ever have a headache and you don't know why you have a headache, just drink some water, and more often than not, you will feel better after that, and that headache will go away. But yeah, so small things like that are really helpful. So another thing that I would say is look at your meals and see how colorful they are. If they're
Okay.
not very colorful, try to add other things to your meal that make it more colorful. So they say eat the colors of the rainbow, or try to do that, on a regular basis. So, if, for example, usually in our cultures, it's rice and a lot of curry on top. Uh, could you, for example, add some vegetables to that? Could you, for example, start having more vegetarian meals? Could you swap some of your meat and chicken for lentils and legumes? Try to have that variety. Really, when it comes to nutrition, variety is key. So don't continue having the same thing. It's really easy just to continue eating the same thing. But actually, the more the more varied your diet is, the more varied your food choices are. One, actually, it'll be funner. Okay, it won't be as boring because you're not eating the same thing over and over again. But also, you're giving your body a whole range of different nutrients and fibers, and gut bacteria, for example, that your body needs to get that whole diverse range of nutrients.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. I think we can really implement that in our lifestyle. Now, Sister Amina, tell me this. What are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced as a nutritionist, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So there are many different challenges. I would say one of the main challenges of being a nutritionist or working in this field is that a lot of people approach this topic with a lot of judgment towards themselves, judgment towards other people. So I've had people come up to me in certain social scenarios and ask me, "Oh, why are you drinking Coke? I thought you're a nutritionist. Don't you know that's bad for you?" I've had people come up to me, and say about my son, "Oh, I get you, he's never had sugar in his entire life because you know that sugar is bad for you." So there are a lot of these misconceptions when it comes to food, and a lot of judgment. So it's important for us to re-educate ourselves and really think about food in a different light. Food is neither good or bad. Food has a different impact on our body depending on so many different things. It's not as simple as, yes, this is good and this is bad, because actually sometimes a sugary drink that we might perceive as bad is saving someone's life who has diabetes and their blood sugar levels are low.
Correct.
So can we say
Yes.
that this food is now bad because it saved someone's life?
No.
So I think that's the biggest struggle when it comes to nutrition, is actually helping people, or shifting people's mindset to look at food differently and to take a step back and to enjoy food. We have put a lot of stress on ourselves from social media, from society, even when it comes to things like how we look, or, for example, how big or small people are. It's really easy to look at someone and assume, oh, yes, they're very healthy because they look a certain way, and assume actually someone is unhealthy because they look another way. When in reality, you wouldn't be able to tell just from looking at someone from outside how healthy they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I've even seen a lot of people, they might look really, you can say sometimes huge on the outside, but actually, they have a lot of health issues going on. Maybe they have, as you said, diabetes, or some sugar issues, or some iron level issues, and all of that. And, it's very true. Like, we tend to become so judgmental just by looking at someone and making these assumptions on our own, which I feel like we should really rethink about before saying anything. and we should educate ourselves, as you said, very importantly. Like, we should look up and understand about these dietary requirements. Like, for example, sometimes maybe the body craves for, some salty items sometimes, like, it just happens. And sometimes maybe you're craving for the sugary items on certain days, and you tend to eat a lot. And now you're thinking, oh my god, why am I, for example, eating this chocolate cake, like, just so much, like, at once. I just feel like craving for it so much at once. And you even feel like, okay, I'm probably putting on or something. You get that feeling sometimes. But I think it's the call of the body. Maybe the body is trying to tell you something. Maybe there's a certain deficiency that your body is trying to tell you, that maybe there's a lack of this vitamin in your body, there's a lack of this supplement in your body. And how can you, if we, as you said, make it a balanced meal throughout the year, then probably one wouldn't face all these issues. Like, they would be very normal about it.
Yeah, but even
um
going back to the chocolate cake example, a lot of the times people eat chocolate cake feeling guilty that they have eaten the chocolate cake, and they still eat the chocolate cake and they still feel bad afterwards. Yeah. But actually, if you want to have that chocolate cake, that's absolutely fine. Sit down, put the cake, on your plate and enjoy the slice of cake that you're having. And that's absolutely fine. Actually, it's, the reverse that can lead us to feeling, guilty, or we want more. I'm sure that you've experienced this with your child or daughter. I think you said, whenever we say, to our kids, "Don't have this," what do they want? They want it.
they want it one also.
Exactly. Exactly the same thing with us. If we say to ourselves, I am not supposed to have this chocolate cake, I will want this chocolate cake more. And I will probably have a lot of chocolate cake because I have put that rule and restriction on myself not to have that chocolate cake. But actually, if I sat down and enjoyed that chocolate cake and ate it mindfully, to really think about what I'm doing rather than swallow it, just swallowing it and not thinking about what we're doing, we will feel more satisfied with a slice of chocolate cake, and we'll enjoy that. And actually, we probably wouldn't think about the rest of the chocolate cake later on.
Very true, very true. In fact, we can also, just so that you don't feel that guilt, like some people, who feel very seriously about this and are very conscious. If they feel like, okay, maybe they're feeling that guilt, they can also add, something else on the side along with this chocolate cake. Like, maybe, top it up with some fruits, strawberries, raspberries, whatever you like. Maybe you could have some ice cream with it, or some, cookie or whatever, just so that something healthy on the side. It could be anything, but maybe, a digestive biscuit or something, just so that you feel like, okay, I've not basically consumed the entire sugar. So I've seen some tip advices about health and nutrition when it comes to this. But I absolutely agree with you. Like, just go for it. Uh, just go for this cake. Just enjoy it. Just devour it, so that you don't crave for it, later on, because then, you're gonna crave for it more and more, which is not good then, obviously. So, what do you think? How can one stay up to date, including yourself, with the latest research and trends in nutrition?
Don't use social media. So when it comes to nutrition and health, so there is a lot out there, and there is a lot on social media. So my first point of advice is really make sure that your sources of this information are credible. So there are a lot of influencers who have no expertise in nutrition or health that still make certain claims about certain, foods or drinks that they drink that they think everyone else should drink so they can all look a certain way or feel a certain way, when in reality there is no backup to that.
Yeah,
So always,
true.
always make sure that your nutrition and health information is coming from, like I said, credible sources. So when it comes to nutrition in the UK, which are the ones to follow? So make sure that it is coming from a registered nutritionist. When it comes to nutrition in the UK, it's not a protected title. So that means if I did a nutrition course for 1 hour, okay, I can
Yeah.
still call myself a nutritionist compared to
Oh,
someone who has a degree in nutrition. So it's not a
oh my,
protected title. Yeah,
yeah.
that's why make sure that any nutritionists that you follow are registered. So there is a body called Association for Nutrition that all nutritionists that are up to a high standard can register in. And when you follow those people, the information that you're getting from them is all evidence based. So that's the difference. So when it comes to research and nutrition, there is so much out there, and there are so many and thousands of studies and things like that that have been done on nutrition. But that doesn't mean what one study suggests is a proven scientific fact that everyone should. That is called evidence based, and that means there is a lot of evidence to suggest that drinking water, for example, can help with uh, feeling less dehydrated. We know that that's evidence based. Let's say, for example, someone is claiming that drinking lemon water helps regulate their hormone levels. That's not evidence based. So always look out for registered nutritionists, dietitians as well, because dietitians are a protected title, and usually even doctors. Not all doctors are trained in nutrition. You can get GPs and doctors that train and specialize in nutrition, and those are the ones to follow as well.
Yeah, I think you really raised and highlighted this very important issue because usually I think if I would put it in general terms, there comes a clash between cultural advices and professional advices coming from, as you said, nutritionists, who are well qualified and have credible sources. So, like for example, if we see sometimes in our culture, if our maybe the women in the house, for example, our mothers and great grandmothers or whatever, they had their own ways of living healthy and all of that. So they would advise you, for example, have lemon water, just as you said, right? So that you can have a flat belly and all of that, and these other sort of things as well, like whatever mixture they make with sometimes cloves or cardamom and I don't know what and what honey and I don't know what, and they tell you to take this every day, and you're so I think sometimes we do fall in that you can say misconception or that self doubt that what is the right source, which one should I follow.
Yeah,
So sometimes yes, these things also do show up good results, but I think it's short term. That's what
yeah.
I feel, because maybe in the long run, then you do start seeing that you're getting back to maybe you're starting to put a weight on or something like that. Is that true?
So I think there are certain cultural traditions that are helpful, but that doesn't mean everyone should be doing that. So there might be certain things that work for you culturally, for example, and that's great. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's evidence-based advice that NHS England should be taking up. Yeah. So there are if there are certain things that are working for you, that's great, and you know that they're working for you, and that's absolutely fine. But when it comes to as well giving advice to other people, that's when it's important to keep in mind that actually just because it's working for me doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else. Especially these types of cultural advice.
Now, when it comes to nutritionists, like, maybe you have colleagues and workmates and, a team or someone like that, do you have misconceptions or miscommunications about maybe like maybe you're not getting on the same page or on the same table certain times, and how do you deal with those uh, areas?
Yeah, so there are so many different things that are debatable in nutrition and in science in general, because sometimes what happens is the evidence from, or the research from, for example, the early 50s, 60s, 70s, is disagrees with the research that it's now. So it's really easy to have debate around that. So one of the main examples is the fat versus sugar approach that in the UK it's always been advised to have a low fat diet. But in
Mhm.
reality now, what's been shown is actually there are so many different types of fats, and healthy fats are really important for your brain. That doesn't mean all fats are bad for you. Yes, if you are, having fried food every single day from the, chip shop, then yeah, those types of fats in there won't be beneficial for your body. So there are many different things like that are constantly debated. Eggs, for example, before they were shunned because they had a high level of cholesterol in them. Now it's actually a great source of nutrition and protein, and it's such a balanced food that's recommended. But also other things. So there's what we call the intuitive eating movement in nutrition and health right now. So there's a lot of debate between different nutritionists and healthcare professionals of, is this actually the right way to go? Or is this, for example, going against what we now believe to be healthy? So
Mm.
we're constantly discussing these things, and that is a good thing because you get to hear so many different points of view from different people's perspectives, and you also get to form your own opinion, which actually in a few years' time might change as well, and that's absolutely fine. Health and nutrition and science is one of those things that it, our learning will constantly develop with the experience that we have, but also with the knowledge that we gain.
Right, right. Very well mentioned, well said. Before I move on with the question about how a healthy lifestyle is connected with Islam, I just want to ask a general question. Sometimes we get that obsession or addiction or craze of, starting our day with maybe tea or coffee, especially, if you want to rejuvenate your energy levels and, you've got a very tough, big day coming ahead of you. Is that okay? I mean, generally, is it okay, or are there any side effects to it? Um, yeah.
So again, this is a question that we get regularly, but there is no yes and no answer. A lot of the times when it comes to nutrition and health, people always would like a yes and no answer, but a lot of the times it depends on so many different factors. So let's say, for example, that was a one-off, that shouldn't impact. But let's say someone is actually drinking a lot of coffee and a lot of tea during the day, that it can impact, for example, the absorption of iron, because we know that
Yeah.
the tea and the coffee can impact that, so their body might not be able to absorb enough iron, which can lead to an iron deficiency in the future. So if it's a one-off, for example, or if it's so no more than 2 cups of tea or coffee in a day, then that shouldn't impact. But a lot of people sometimes get withdrawal symptoms as well during the month of Ramadan when they fast. It becomes really difficult. So it's important to keep all of the, for example, even actually when women are pregnant or breastfeeding as well. So a certain level of caffeine is recommended as the maximum rather than to go above that. So it depends on the circumstance. It depends, if it's working for you and it's not becoming too much and impacting, your day if you can't have it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this very important, vital, key knowledge with everybody. I'm sure all the viewers will definitely benefit from this. Now, as you know that, Alhamdulillah, we are also in these days of celebrating the wiladat of Imam Ali Rada alayhi salam and his sister Bibi Masuma Yaqum. And I think that, when we read the narrations and the ahadith as well, we see that Imam Ali Rada alayhi salam was a doctor, on his own, because everybody says whoever even goes to his shrine, gets shifa. And he was actually very well versed when it comes to even medicine, because he used to advise and treat a lot of his companions when it came to medicine and all of that. So he used to give a lot of great remedies and all of that. So, how can we get inspired to have a healthy lifestyle from the life and advices suggested by Imam Ali Rada alayhi salam?
I think you summarized it beautifully there. So we know that our beautiful religion teaches us all the different aspects of our life, one of them being health, diet, and nutrition. And there are a lot of narrations and hadith and riwayat from the Prophet and the Ahl al-Bayt to teach us how to approach this. And the most beautiful thing that I have found is that they always go for a balance, which is what we know is what is recommended and what is helpful. A balance of everything, not too much of this, not too much of that, and a variety of different things. So we know, like you mentioned, Imam Rada has a treaty called Tabb al-Rada, or the medicine of Imam Rada. So we know that during the time of Ma'mun, the Abbasid Caliph, he asked him to share his knowledge around medicine. And that treaty was actually documented, and we still have certain manuscripts around the world. And that treatise of Imam Rida focuses on so many different aspects of health that some of us in this day and age would be surprised that Imam Rida was talking about these things 1,200 years ago, approximately. So in that, he speaks about diet, nutrition, speaks about emotions, he speaks about your teeth whitening as well. So many different topics. So I've chosen a few that I thought will be interesting. So one of the things that Imam Rida says, eat according to one's capacity and temperament. And
Oh.
how we take this is that everyone is different. There will be certain people that, eat a little bit more, some people eat a little bit less, but it's important to keep in mind your body. And in nutrition, we use our fists and our hands as portion size because everyone's hands will be different in size. So if you think about, for example, a big, 6-foot man, his hand will be much bigger in size than mine, which will be very different in size than my 2-year-old son's. So actually, our hands are a really good size to get portions of different foods. So usually the palm of your hand are things like chicken, meat, fish. Fish is things like your carbs, for example. When it comes to things like cheese, it's your 2 thumbs together. So I think
Okay.
those are the types of things that Imam al-Rida was alluding to when he was saying that eat according to one's own capacity and temperament. And another thing that Imam Rida says in that doctrine is that in the stomach all ailments prevail, but diet is the best cure. So we know that a lot of times, many different types of illnesses start off with the stomach. And actually, what Imam Rida is saying is that diet is the best cure. And that makes us think that everything that we put in our body has an impact on our health, but also on our spiritual health as well. And also, what we don't eat, for example, can also have a positive or negative impact. The other things that the imams generally mention, for example, are consuming quince and dates for pregnant women. And actually,
Yes.
both of those have so many different types of nutrients and fibers that are really important for the female body to help grow that child inside her. So there are so many different aspects of health that the imams go through, and especially Imam Rida, all of it teaches us balance. actually, one of the other things that I was reading as well, that Imam Rada even speaks about how to cook food, and that actually frying food or boiling food can reduce some of the nutrient content of certain foods, and that's very correct. We know that boiling certain foods in water, for example, means that the nutrients are leaving the food and going in the water, and you're not necessarily consuming that water. We know deep frying food as well can, rupture certain of the membranes of certain foods, and that would mean that we're not getting all of the nutrients. So that's the extent of detail that the imams go to, and I think it's one of the great things about our religion is that they focus on each different aspect of our life and how we can approach it in a balanced way.
Thank you so much, Sister Amina, for sharing that, and absolutely well mentioned. Imam Ali Rada alayhi salam really has advised us with amazing tips and advices from his lifestyle and from his study of doctrine, as you mentioned, and very well said that we sometimes need to assess the type of food that we're consuming. As you said, sometimes if we're frying or boiling it, the amount of the nutritious content, how much are we consuming, how much are we throwing away? It's very important, and also the fact that especially when it comes to the women's health, when it comes to pregnant females, also, yeah, it's so important for sometimes the child's development. It's so important that, especially the dates and quince. Yes, I was told about that throughout my pregnancy, and alhamdulillah, it was great. I had that. But
Me
and
too.
so many other, also they say, like, if you have dates, the child becomes really patient and all of that. But I must say, today's generation is something else. I mean, they're just on another level. I don't know. We tried our best. I mean, we ate the best kind of food and everything, but still they're just always hyper and on the go. So I don't know what's all that.
Yeah, you know what? Children, I feel are we have to give a child their right, because as for example, their parents, as carers for children, a lot of times we know what's best for them, and to make those choices for the child at that moment in time is what's going to help them. So I know, for example, after a certain time, if my son hasn't had his nap, he will, be acting out. He will, get extra, extra energetic, overexcited, and I know that's because he hasn't had his nap. So as a parent, it's our responsibility to make sure that the basic needs of our children are met to a high standard. And it's really hard, don't get me wrong. There are so many, different things to think about, but actually, if we maintain again a balanced environment for our children and we implement that ourselves, then they grow up watching us. That's how they learn. And if in our own lifestyle, in our own choices, we're not prioritizing ourselves, our health, our mental health, our sleep, then they won't necessarily do that.
Yes, very true. A child mirrors the parents, um, and especially the mothers. Yes, a child sees the mother as their reflection, and so they want to imitate and follow and mirror the mother exactly as you've mentioned. Definitely. Thank you so much, Sister Amina, for being on today's program. I would like to humbly thank you. It was honestly, a great discussion with you. Very valuable key lessons, very educational, and you've shared some really good, informative points, insightful points. Are there any last sorry? Are there any last words or points of advice on an ending note that you would like to share with all our viewers on today's program?
Yeah, thank you for having me, and that was a really great discussion. I think the last point to end with is for people to really self-reflect. and to look within yourselves. Now, we've all heard of that famous saying of Imam Ali that says, your remedy is within you. So look at yourself, look at your lifestyle from a non-judgmental approach, and see realistically what are some small things that you could do that will help you feel better, and also the people around you will feel better as a result of you feeling better.
SubhanAllah. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful hadith. And it's really just beyond amazing. I hope that all of us can, take some good knowledge from this. And very true, because if you are a positive person, you will, reveal that positiveness around you, and the people will also be attracted to you in that way. So if you think of being positive, if you think of blessings, you attract blessings, and if you obviously think of problems, you will attract problems. So uh, let's always try to always cultivate good thoughts, and always remain positive and optimistic. And with that, I would like to thank you to be a part of today's program, and thank you. Jazakallah khair. Thank you, viewers, for tuning on today's program. And I am so privileged to have had Sister Amina Taki join me on today's program. And she has really shared some valuable key knowledge, and I hope that all of you benefited from today's program. And once again, I would like to wish you all a very happy Khoshali Mubarak on the birth celebration of Imam Ali Rada alayhi salam, and we pray that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in these beautiful ayam and give us more tawfiq, inshallah. Thank you so much, and inshallah I will catch you again in the next episode. This is your host Sakina Habib signing off. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.